Hey, good news. It's summer break and we're going to take our EV on a road trip. So here's some top tips for you to keep yourself and your electric vehicle cool and running smoothly all the way through the summer. Hi there, my name is Mike and I'm from Greenway Electric. Today I want to talk to you about some great trip tips for you as you drive your electric vehicle in the summer, keeping it cool and keeping you cool as well. And let's get right into it. So the first question you might ask is, why do I even care about my vehicle? Why do I need to keep it cool? And that really relates back to the battery of your electric vehicle. The batteries in the electric vehicles really don't like to get too hot. And when I say hot, I mean temperatures above 40 Celsius or 100 Fahrenheit. Once you're into that zone of temperature, then the batteries can start to lose some of their efficiency. And if the temperature continues to rise and go up without being controlled or checked, then there could be some long-term damage being done to batteries. Lithium-ion batteries generally tend to dislike extremely hot temperatures, and different battery chemistries are going to react differently, and also different electric vehicles are going to react differently as well. So what will happen with some electric vehicles is they have a battery cooling system and they will use some power to cool the battery down, which you won't have any visibility to unless you plug in a special scanner into your car. But it's going to be continuing to maintain the correct battery temperature as much as it can. Some other cars don't have battery cooling systems and they will then limit some of the things you can do with the vehicle. For example, if the battery starts to get very hot, it's going to limit how fast you can charge the car, and it will also limit how much power you can be pulling from the battery. So what can you as the driver do to take care of your battery in the summer when it's super hot? Well, the first thing is, if you can at all help it, try to avoid doing the level 3 or rapid charging or fast charging or supercharging. And I know that on a road trip you're going to need to do that sometimes, so you should just go ahead and do it. But on a regular basis, if you can avoid doing that, that would be the best approach, because what happens is when you're rapid charging the vehicle, it is introducing heat into the vehicle, into the battery. So the more amps you're pouring into the battery, it will be creating heat internally in the battery, which will cause the battery to heat up as you're charging it rapidly. If you're charging the battery slowly, even a level 2 charging at 240 volts is still considered slow charging, level 2 charging, and that will be much better for the battery as it is in a hot temperature or a hot climate. The second thing you should avoid doing when it is hot outside is really driving your car like it's a race car. So what I mean is, when you're accelerating, don't floor it, don't accelerate rapidly, although certainly it's fun to do, but try not to do that too much, because again, what it's doing is it's introducing additional heat into the battery. The more amps that you draw out of the battery, the quicker it's going to be warming up the battery, and it's going to be introducing additional heat into the battery. Something else you can do as well is keep your battery state of charge somewhere between 20% and 80%. And batteries, when they are getting warmer and hotter, they prefer not to be fully charged for a long period of time. Of course, if you need the range of your vehicle, if you're going on a road trip, then yeah, charge it to 100%. But try not to leave it there too long. I wouldn't want to leave it there for more than a day or so, although some electric vehicles are designed to have their battery staying at 100% for a longer period of time. But if you are in a very hot climate and you're planning to just utilize it just for around town, it might be a good idea to keep that battery charged a little bit under 100% and just utilize it with that battery percentage. Another thing you might consider doing when you're taking your car on a road trip in the summer is try to park it in the shade. And as you know, those parking lots with that black asphalt can get very hot, and in the shade, things are a lot cooler, and your car will also feel the same thing. So if you want to keep it in the shade, then there's a lot lower ambient temperature and it's not driving more heat into the battery unnecessarily. Another thing that you could do that many electric vehicles allow you to do is to precondition your cabin. In other words, turning on the air conditioning remotely before you get into the vehicle. And you might say, well, why would I do that? I mean, it's more comfortable for me as the occupant. Yes, when you get into it, but what it's also doing is it's going to be preconditioning your car so that you have a nice temperature when you get into the vehicle, and then when you start driving, it's not having double duty. What I mean is, it's not going to be spending a lot of power trying to cool down the cabin of your car, in addition to trying to drive, for example, drive up on the freeway or merging onto the freeway or something. So you're potentially, if you don't precondition the car, you might be merging on the freeway using a lot of power. In addition to that, the air conditioning might be running full blast to try and cool down the car, and so you're just pulling a lot more amps at once out of the battery, a lot more power than maybe you would need to. So it's good to try and spread out the power usage and not not have as much of a spike in the power usage. They will, of course, deliver the power you're asking of it, but in the long term, it may be better for your vehicle if you're trying to be extra cautious. Just try to precondition first and or park in the shade, and then when you're driving, it's not going to be spending the first 10 minutes blasting the air conditioning to cool down your vehicle. So I guess to summarize some of the ideas there is, when you are drawing a lot of power out of your vehicle at once in a short period of time, that is introducing heat into the battery. And conversely, when you're charging your car, if you're pushing a lot of power into it at once, you're charging at level 3, you're charging at a high kilowatt rating, that's going to be pushing a lot of energy into your car, but it also will cause there to be heat generated in the battery as well. So of course, on a road trip, both of those things will happen. And if you're doing road trips throughout the summer, you should continue to use your vehicle as normal, but just be aware that once you get back home, it would be good to return back to that level 2 or level 1 charging that you typically do. It's not going to drive as much heat into the battery. Now, the good news is there's been some studies that show that people who do rapid or fast charging often does not cause a significant amount of degradation over and above regular charging. So it may be still fine to be doing that level 3 charging often, but just to be on the safe side, it's probably better to try to do that level 2 charging. And when you're checking into your hotel at night, try to find one that has a level 2 charger, and it'll spend the night, 8 hours or so recharging your car. And it's a nice slow pace, and it won't cause extra heat in the battery. And the last thing I'll just say as well, it's good for any car, whether electric or gas or diesel, is make sure your tires are inflated to the proper pressure. The underinflated tires are going to require more power to push your vehicle along because there's a greater rolling resistance. So make sure your tires are pumped up. You'll get better fuel economy or better electric economy. So those are some ideas I have for you on a summer road trip, keeping your EV cool and keeping yourself cool too. What do you think? Do you have any other ideas of things that we should be doing to take care of our electric vehicles? Leave them in the comments for me. I'd be interested to take a look at those. If you found this video interesting or informative, I'd appreciate if you can give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing for future videos. Thanks for watching and have a great day.